I'll start with the. What I'm going to do today is there is a. Yesterday, we were breaking this story at 12 o'clock as we have started today, but what we wanted to do was withhold the name of the group involved till 12 o'clock. But what happened was yesterday we had sent a detailed questionnaire to the ADG group on the 19th of this month. We received no reply to any of our detailed questionnaires. We sent repeated reminders, and it was maybe 80-90 questions. I don't remember ballpark how many questions, but it was a very detailed questionnaire. Yesterday was the final reminder we sent in the morning, updated it, our questionnaire. And then in the evening we received a defamation notice, and which said that you are, it's the first time I've heard of a notice where before the story comes out they're accusing us of defamation. And a lot of media started carrying this news, and I was perplexed. Nothing has happened, how have we defamed them? But in any case, we have responded. They didn't answer a single question of ours. There was an attempt to intimidate us so that we don't do this press conference. And basically make us to cease and desist. But we have responded. We have put their entire series of allegations that are part of the notice that they sent to us in our cover story, in our press release, in our YouTube, everywhere, so that they don't get a chance that we have not given them appropriate space or appropriate chance. Of course, we deny each and every allegation that they have made. And a detailed notice is, we have published the whole notice on our website. So any of you who want to see what exactly is the notice about can go to our website and have a look at it. It's hyperlinked on our site. Now I'll start my my PPT presentation. It's about 50 slides, and please bear with me. So this is basically. We discovered 28,000 crore worth of diversion, and also 1.5 billion dollars of money that had come in from offshore accounts, etc., in a very, very dodgy way. Second. So this, go back here. So this is, as I said, 1.5 billion dollars laundered offshore, siphoned off money from banks, from his various listed companies. 28,874 crores. Total public wealth loss, let me tell you, this is not a notional figure like in 2G. This is a hard figure. And please go to the next slide. This indicates your share, your market cap, what it was in 2008 and what it became in 19. So there is a loss to investors, thousands of institutional investors, retail investors, of 1.59 lakh crores. Of the total creditor claims, that is loans and etc., which they raised across their companies, just to give you a context, was 1.78 lakh crores, out of which in NCLT and other places across the table, total claims settled was a mere 15,515 crores. So if you look at it, total admitted claim debt, total settle is just this, total loss to stakeholders in terms of loss is 1,62,976 crore. So basically he caused a wealth loss in India of 3,38,212 crore. This is the total public wealth loss in terms of loans taken from banks, in terms of market loss of market cap. What was the modus operandi of the ADG group? Borrow, secure massive loans from public sector banks, through a deceptively simple four-step pattern: borrow, secure massive loans using the group's credibility, which was very high at that point of time, siphon off these funds by granting sham loans to a complex web of shell companies with no real business. Then step 3, route the money from these shell companies back to the promoter entities, and Step 4, write off the loans and default on the original bank loans, leaving public institutions holding basically pieces of paper worth nothing. Then, diving deeper into the playbook, funds were routed from multiple pass-through entities, often with common addresses and cross-directorships, to reach promoter-controlled companies. These liabilities were then written off through a creative accounting and related party reclassifications. Parallel offshore structures in BVI, Cyprus, Singapore, etc. were used to round-trip, violating FEMA end-use provisions. We found quid pro quo financing like an 800 crore tranche from Yes Bank with audit trail systematically buried. Of course, we'll tell you about 2009. It was reported that Anil Ambani brought Tina Ambani a personal luxury yacht. Our investigation shows that the Indian public paid approximately $20 million for it. This was done through elaborate corporate structure, which we will get into. This purchase shows slide 10, yeah. Initial setup. The purchase shows funds meant for business being diverted from personal luxuries. It began with a cover story. An ADG company, Reliance Transport Travels, chartered the yacht from a Jersey-based company, Emolite Holdings, for $400,000 annually. This MOU, signed in October 2008, was a mask of what was an outright acquisition, hiding the true flow of funds. Next slide. Here is how the money moved from Emolite Holdings, an ADAG company, made an agreement with Gateway Net Trading in Arcom subsidiary to supply it with 10 million mobile handsets that Gateway was supposed to source for Arcom. The problem, Emolite had no experience in trading. The reality, not a single handset was delivered, a yacht was. Let's follow the money trail. So we have Emolite Holdings purchased the yacht from Ferretti SPA Italy for approximately 8.53 million. The payment was made by Gateway Net Trading, the Arcom subsidiary. So funds flowed from Arcom to Gateway to Singapore and Ferretti in Italy, creating a complex trail to obscure. We have media interviews from then Tina Ambani saying that Anil Ambani had gifted her the yacht, but it wasn't exactly a gift from Arcom. It was Arcom money, Indian taxpayer money, that had bought the yacht for Tina Ambani. To summarize the role of this Arcom subsidiary, first it entered into a sham handset agreement with Emolite. Second, it received money from Reliance Communication for this procurement. Third, it paid 18.53 million to Ferretti for the yacht. And fourth, Emolite never supplied any mobile handsets. The final write-off. So what happened to Emolite, the company that owned the yacht? It was owned 50-50 by Reliance Capital and Reliance Land. In 2011, Reliance Capital, already running an accumulated debt of over 18,000 crores, simply wrote off its investment in Emolite. Since Emolite had no legitimate business operation, this write-off buried the purchase. And let me tell you, the yacht is now up for sale, we noticed, for about $6 million. We don't know how much they will get, but it was basically essential. This is how the money was spent. Some of the money that he raised through loans was for personal luxury and personal aggrandizement. Moving on, Reliance Infrastructure, a web of financial fraud. Yacht was just one case. We turn now to Reliance Infrastructure. Our investigation shows a systematic fund diversion, money laundering and regulatory violations involving 14,529 crores, unveiling the mammoth deception. So they diverted this huge sum of money. This was done using promoter entities and shell companies, moving funds to India and offshore tax havens like Cyprus, BVI, Mauritius. Reliance Infrastructure has an outstanding debt still of 17,000 crores. That is at the end of this last financial year. Breakdown of funds diversion. This chart shows the breakdown of the 14,500 crore diversion. The funds originated from multiple group sources and were funneled to an entity called CLE Private Limited. As you can see, around 10,000 crores came from Reliance Infrastructure itself, 3,270 crores from Reliance Capital, and notably another 800 crore was a quid pro quo transaction with Yes Bank. So all these monies came to CLE, and this summarizes the source, 10K from these companies. The primary conduit was CLE, and it changed its name, SPV changed its name 4-5 times.